they try to deter and prevent some of the issues that usually would take place. And we can start with the slides. Okay. So as far as our agenda goes, today we are joined by Chief Cop, and he will be giving a quick introduction and brief summary of things from the Patrol Services North perspective, as well as we have our third district Commander Connors and our new fourth district Commander Hong. He will be introducing himself for those of you within the fourth district of Ward 5 who have not met him, as he has taken the place of assistant chief now, Levenhouse. And then we'll go into the fifth district with Commander Rooney. All right, so as far as the updates on the Ward 5 side, there has been declines, more than 40% down year to date for total crime in Ward 5, which is great news. There's also been a number of downtrending crime stats from 2024, where they were down more than 30% year over year. And then 2025 crime rates went down another 29%. And then as the current trends are for 2026, it indicates a continued success in driving down crime. So this is all good news on the Ward 5 side. Today we'll be going over a number of concerns. As we do get into these concerns, we would like for neighbors to also use the Q&A feature as well as the chat to bring up anything that they would like to elevate to our public safety partners. So right now we'll talk about, robberies, where we're seeing a concerning trend with the start of the summer months, including an increase in assaults with a deadly weapon. Also, domestic violence. While overall homicides are down, there's a disturbing increase in domestic incidents and intimate partner violence. And then shootings. Our office is tracking a concerning trend with shootings involving juveniles at or near schools. And that's like the Benning Road corridor, North Capitol Street, and others. And then car break-ins. There's also been a recent string of car break-ins in more residential areas like Dakota Crossing, as well as in the Fort Lincoln neighborhood. Okay. So just to start, we want to allow Chief Cop to be able to speak, and he'll just give us a quick introduction and summary of the things from the patrol side north, patrol services north, sorry.
All right. Well, thanks, Oliver. Good evening, everybody. Like Oliver said, my name's Jeff Kopp. I'm the Assistant Chief of Police for Patrol Services North, which oversees and supports the operations of the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th police districts. The portions of the 3rd, 4th, and 5th districts that fall in Ward 5. So I'm happy to work with Commanders Rooney, Hong, and Connors in those districts and supporting their operations and supporting the chief's overall mission of reducing crime in the District of Columbia. So as Oliver already kind of pointed out, one of our focuses immediately is the concerning upward trend in assaults with a dangerous weapon, which we've seen kind of spike across the city in all districts. Ward 5, as he kind of showed in the slide earlier, is affected by that as well, which is in line with the overall citywide trend of about a 45% overall increase that we're seeing citywide. Oliver also kind of touched on already the fact that a good portion of those, nearly half of those ADWs, involve some type of domestic violence or intimate partner violence, which we're working very hard on combating with our community outreach teams, partnerships with Victim Service Branch, follow up with victims, that kind of thing. Our commanders will probably talk a little bit about their response, their specific response for the ADWs in their own specific districts. But the department has also been pushing, and perhaps you've seen on social media, our No DV campaign, which has been pushed out. You can find that on our Instagram and our website, and working together to make sure that victims of domestic violence have the resources and access to resources that they need to escape those conditions, and hopefully prevent some of the domestic violence that we've been seeing. So other initiatives that we have going on this summer, just broadly for the police department, of course, we're still continuing with our Thrive Zones throughout the summer. We've just started phase 8. We've got 4 brand new captains that started in our Rosedale, Anacostia, Washington Highlands, and Congress Heights neighborhoods. So their focus is on reducing violence in those neighborhoods specifically. We also continue to deploy our robbery suppression initiative on the weekends to make sure that we have additional personnel out there specifically looking to combat and prevent robberies throughout the city. And of course, we still are working as part of the federal task force with federal task force partners throughout the city in some proactive areas that have experienced historic violence. And happy to report that although ADWs are up, we are continuing to put the pressure on gun recoveries and the like. And happy to report that so far year to date, our members have been able to recover just over 1,200 handguns throughout the city. So we know each one of those prevents another crime. So we're proud of that number and happy to stay engaged with gun recoveries throughout the city. So I don't want to take any further time unless anybody has any specific questions of me. I know the commanders are going to talk through kind of what's going on in the specific districts. And I will go ahead and put my information in the chat in case anybody wants to reach out to me on the side. I'm happy to answer any of your questions that you may have. Thank you, everybody.
Yep. It doesn't look like we have any questions for you at the moment. But I mean, we appreciate you for hopping in on this call. We do have one question that comes from us. How are you evaluating the success from the summer crime prevention initiative across the entire footprint that covers, of course, the 4th district and the 5th district that are under you?
Are you talking about the Thrive Zones or just crime in general?
Just crime in general.
Yeah, so a number of different ways, right? Like obviously, we would like to see less ADWs. Crime numbers do tell a little bit of the story, but they don't tell the entire story, right? So the commanders will tell you, they look at their stats daily. We look at where crime is happening. We look at what kind of victims we have. Is there any similarities in suspects or patterns and that kind of thing? We evaluate those things daily so that we can deploy our resources effectively. And we kind of gauge movement in those areas as some kind of like success indicators as well. But it's not all about arrests. It's also about services that we bring to neighborhoods. MPD kind of prides itself on working with other government agencies to really address some of the problems that are in the neighborhood that are probably leading to the violence in the first place. So I think that that's also an indicator of our success, is the relationships that we've been able to build with our other government agencies to make sure that we bring lasting change and improvements to communities to try to get rid of crime. So we see that they kind of go hand in hand. So to the extent that we can do that, we are keeping our foot on the gas for that. We've got some really good buy-in from many of our district government agencies and some that we'd love to work with a little bit better and strengthen our relationship. But yeah, that's kind of some of the ways that we're looking to bring some relief to the communities and bring crime down this summer.
All right, appreciate that. And just for the neighbors, could you explain like what the Thrive Zone is?
Yeah, so it's our basically it started as our targeted homicide reduction initiative and violence intervention. They're identified zones in the city based on historical crime statistics, very specific geographical areas in the city that we've assigned a captain over, which kind of gives it a little bit more oversight. They are coming down to headquarters at least once a week and briefing me and the chief about the efforts that they're putting in, the government agencies that they're working with, the community leaders that they've been able to meet and work with, any successes in crime prevention that they've had. And we really are trying to bring all of the resources, all of the specialized resources of the Metropolitan Police Department to bear in these areas to kind of drive crime down in those areas that have experienced that historical violence.
All right. Thank you. And we also have the council member here too. Now he's hopped in.
Council member, good afternoon.
How's it going, Assistant Chief? Good to see you.
Likewise, sir.
And it's good to be with everyone. I'm not sure where we are in the lineup, but I'm assuming.
We are heading to the 3rd district with Commander Connors.
Okay. And so I will save my updates for the end then.
All right. Commander Connors, you're here?
Yep, affirm.
Yep, see you. And we can move on with the slides, and then we'll go into questions right after that.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it, Oliver. As Oliver said, I'm Sean Connors, commander of the 3rd district. I'll kind of give an update on the 3rd district as a whole, and then I'll talk about some of the things we're seeing and doing over on the Ward 5 side of the district. So one of our successes this year right now is our robberies are down 39%. That was off a pretty big reduction that we had the year prior too. So we are very happy with the progress that we've made there. That was something that 3rd district struggled with in years past, but we've made a lot of inroads there. So very proud of that. Homicides are down 20%. We have 4 year to date. 2 of the 4 are closed with an arrest. ADWs is something that we're struggling with. We're up 80%. We have 88 compared to 49 last year. Some of that is gun violence for sure. We've had some neighborhood conflicts, LaDroit Park, Columbia Heights. Our detectives have done a really good job in that space and recently have made several arrests and have made some gun recoveries and search warrants and a lot of good progress there. So I think we're turning a corner with our ADWs. As Chief mentioned, we have an ADW plan that's in effect. One of our corridors, it's not in Ward 5, but one of our primary corridors where we've kind of struggled is 14th Street, from U Street all the way up to Irving. So that's one of our focus spots in reference to that. But a lot of domestic violence as well. We have our citywide domestic violence action plan in regards to that. So burglaries down 32%. That is primarily establishment burglaries. That is something that, in 2023, 2024, we had a lot of issues with, and detectives did a great job investigating those cases, made a lot of good arrests. We're finally starting to see the fruits of that labor, and burglaries are going down. And then motor vehicle theft. This is really important because motor vehicle theft is what leads to these other crimes. It leads to robberies. It leads to ADWs. They steal the cars and they go commit other offenses. So seeing that reduction, I think, is what's helping us in some of these other spaces. Some of the issues I see in Ward 5 on the 3D side, that North Capitol corridor, is drug sales, drug use. That's, North Capitol Street has had some historical problems with drugs. We've made a lot of good progress over there. Certainly have not solved the problem, but I think we are making progress, and certainly not what it used to be. And we get a lot of traffic complaints in Ward 5 too. North Capitol, First Street, Rhode Island Avenue, some of these corridors there right along the North Capitol corridor. We've gotten a lot of traffic complaints. And then one of the other issues that we saw a lot during the school year that we have not seen, obviously in the summertime, is a lot of the student loitering around Dunbar. That usually spills over towards North Capitol Street. We have seen the occasional, not often, but the occasional shooting, after school shooting or robbery, drug use, students sometimes stashing a firearm. We've gotten a lot of good community tips and feedback related to that. So some of the initiatives that we had to kind of combat some of these issues, one was traffic enforcement with our reserve officers. This is something that actually Assistant Chief Cop helped me with. We coordinated with our reserve corps, and we were doing these traffic blitzes, so to speak, where some of our reserve officers would come in, to earn their hours for the month, and they would do these traffic enforcement initiatives along North Capitol and First Street. And it was very successful. I think we've done 3 so far this year. And in both cases, we're talking, dozens of tickets. We've actually made a couple of arrests for people driving without driver's licenses, and actually one gun recovery as well. So that was something that we were doing, and we got a good amount of positive feedback from the community in regards to that. We have our MPD co-response team. This is a unit that works with DBH to respond to kind of some of our mental health calls for service and sort of repeat locations and repeat individuals that seem to always find themselves interacting with the police due to their mental health capacity. So the co-response team works with DBH, so we kind of identify those folks and they go out, respond, and try to get them connected with services to sort of kind of cut down on their police interaction. And we do that a lot along the North Capitol corridor. Our park walk and talks, our officers that patrol these areas, we try to get them out of the car, walking around, interacting with community members and some of our folks that are out there using and selling and trying to be a visible deterrent with getting out of the car and talking to these folks. Alley checks in particular around O Street, Hanover, they are off that North Capitol corridor where we get a lot of the alley drug use. So we have all units assigned to specifically drive in the alleys. And then obviously our drug enforcement, we have the narcotics enforcement unit. When we get these drug complaints, we send it to them so they can investigate and take enforcement action. And then just the overall picture for us here at the 3rd District. So we're still down 10% violent crime year to date, 18% in property crime. Our overall crime is down 17%. And, we're just kind of hammering home these initiatives, making sure that we're in the right places and being visible for the community. And that's all I have for 3D. So I'll be happy to take any of your questions.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for that. We do have some questions that came from neighbors. One in particular is, can you say more about the progress on Ledroit Park and Columbia Heights Village conflict? Those shootings have been extremely traumatizing for neighbors on 2nd Street. And this is something that you and I have been working on and we've connected with neighbors on. But if you could speak to that, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. It's no secret, right? There's a historical kind of neighborhood conflict there that, sometimes flares up and certainly at least 2 months ago, we definitely saw a flare up where we kind of had some repeat shooting incidences multiple weeks in a row. And so we did make some arrests in those cases. One of the arrests actually occurred within 30 minutes of the shooting happening. We were able to find that suspect in the 1300 block of Columbia, place him under arrest. So we are making progress on the investigations. We have closed some cases, made some arrests. We have daily on all 3 of our shifts, we have the units assigned to both of those neighborhoods for that visible deterrence. Our crime suppression team is also, this is one of their, focus areas to do their enforcement initiatives as well. I know there's a new Ward 1 violence interrupter group that takes the lead in Ledroit Park and Columbia Heights. That's NARC. They also have the Ward 4. So they have been working these areas for the last couple months, onboarding some of their violence interrupters. We do work with them and communicate, make sure, sharing information as needed. And so they're working in these spaces as well. So we're making progress. And I think we've come a long way over the last couple months where we were back in April and May when we kind of had some of those incidents. So I'm definitely happy with the direction that we're going, and we just got to kind of keep our foot on the gas.
Awesome. All right. Another question is, I know that you did kind of touch on this as far as like North Capitol. It usually experiences like an uptick in overdoses, in which you had spoke more to the DBH side of things. But it also experiences violent upticks during the summer. And if you could just speak to, the measures that you guys are taking so those events don't reoccur.
Yeah, absolutely. So that North Capitol corridor, especially on the corner there, North Cap and New York Avenue, we do have these occasional kind of violent incidents. I know we had one a couple months ago where somebody got stabbed. We did identify that suspect and close that case. But so yeah, North Capitol Street, we have a good, regular patrol unit that comes through there, and then we actually that is one of our crime suppression team's focus areas too, because not only do we get the occasional robbery on North Capitol Street, but we do get that drug activity, and so we kind of between the visible, patrol officer and then some of our crime suppression operations, we try to, kind of attack it from two fronts. But we do. That's where that co-response team comes in, and the so some works over there. And I know we just had a meeting with them recently to get them to do a little more outreach, not just concerned with what happens in the building, but kind of concerns, what happens outside of their building. So we try to hit it from like a couple different angles.
Awesome. Yeah. Outside of that, do you have any, like, as far as like the ANCs and civic associations that would like to better plug in with the third district? Is there any way that you guys would like to do that, like the 3D CAC or joining the ANC and civic association meetings?
Yeah, absolutely. So our tomorrow is our CAC meeting. So it's the last Thursday of every month here at the third district. If you go to our website, there's contact information for the CAC. I think that's a great resource where we meet once a month right here at 3D. You can get a virtual link if needed from the CAC chair. And we, happy to have as many attendees at those meetings as possible. And that's where you're going to get the probably the most in-depth third district briefing of all the meetings we do, because it's a full hour and a half just for 3D crime. And then I knew we do work with the civic associations over there too, and we try to go to their meetings at least like quarterly.
Awesome. Okay, well, that's it as far as questions from the third district. We really appreciate you hopping on this call and answering these questions and providing the information that you did do. So we look forward to working with you in the near future.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Commander.
Absolutely.
All right, I believe we're switching gears to the 4D. Newly appointed Commander Hong, I look forward to working with you as well. For context, for those that may not be aware, former Commander Lavenhouse is now Assistant Chief Lavenhouse. And so we're excited to get to know Commander Hong, work alongside him, and looking forward to his briefing.
Thank you so much, Council Member. So I'll give a quick intro because I'm kind of new to the scene here, but my name is David Hong. I got about 20 years on, and I've had a great career at MPD. I've been all around. I've been at 1D, 5D, 6D, and sprinkled in there. I have a lot of background in investigations, and most notably, for the past 4 years, I was a Academy Commander. So I bring a lot of training experience to 4D. And so, with that said, I'm very excited to be here and looking forward to meeting more people and working with everybody on this call. So just getting right into the briefing, I put a little snapshot of the map, and I'll kind of just go over some of the things. But with all districts, ADWs is a big concern for us, any assault with a dangerous weapon. But for 405, the 5 ADWs that we did have year to date, 4 have been closed, and one of those ADWs actually did not occur in 405. And so I know what these numbers say, but in the end of the day, all 4 cases that we had in 405 have been closed. And at the same time, last year in 2025, we were at 9. So even though no crime is good, we're still trending in a good direction. And for 405, as far as the robberies, as you can see here, we're at a negative 22% decrease in robberies. We have had 7. 2 have been closed with an arrest. And at the same time last year, though, I did want to highlight in 2025, we were at 18. I'm happy to say that there's no patterns or trends. They're kind of just all over the place, but that's something that we're going to keep monitoring and keep an eye on. Motor vehicle thefts and theft from autos. I know what the numbers say. We do see a very substantial decrease there, but for me, motor vehicle and theft from auto, there's so many things we can do to prevent these. A lot of the times that we're seeing, especially with the motor vehicle thefts, are people just leaving their keys in their car. A lot of Uber drivers, delivery drivers. We're hoping that the awareness gets out there. Council member, I know Oliver's on there too. 4D community alerts. We send out information all the time about safety awareness. We encourage to share that to the community about the best practices that we can do about motor vehicle thefts and theft from autos. A lot of the theft from autos are just people leaving things visible in the seat, laptops, cell phones, purses, bags, but just taking things away like that, eliminating that can certainly save any of these crimes being committed. Going to burglaries for 405, as you can see there, we've had a negative 40%. In 2025, we were at 8, and currently we are at 3. And so we're looking pretty good there, but please take the proper precautions, lock your doors. I would encourage everybody on here about the Camera Connect program that we have at MPD. We can look, I won't go too into details about that. It's online, but it's a great program for the community. Going into 406, we've had 5 ADWs. I am proud to say, though, we closed all of them. All arrests have been made. Last year, we were at 7, and in 2024, I do want to know we were at 11. So year by year, we're getting better and better with ADWs in 406. The robberies, there's a slight uptick there. At the same time last year, we were at 20. So the trend is getting better. We've had 9, and 3 have been closed with an arrest. Most are occurring late at night or early in the morning, like midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. type of hours. Just taking the proper precautions, not staring at your phone, being in lighted places. All that stuff can really make the difference. For motor vehicle thefts and theft from autos, we've seen a substantial decrease. There's no patterns. Again, what I said about motor vehicle theft and theft from autos in 405, just taking the necessary precautions can go a long way. Burglaries, here we have seen a little bit of uptick in 406. Arrests have been made, and a few have been establishments. And then there's several of these cases where several warrants are pending, and these should be closed soon enough. Next slide, please. So going into the 4th of July, what you're looking at here is a map of kind of the crimes in 405 and 406. And as you see here, again, as I always say, any crime is not good, but for 2025, it wasn't that bad in 405 and 406, compared especially to the other PSAs in the district. But a lot of questions I get, I went to an ANC meeting yesterday, is about just the 4th of July preparations. MPD will be out there. We're going to be teaming up with DC FEMS again as well. We want to remind everyone that the safety and well-being of our residents are our top priority. 4D will be actively patrolling the district, and we'll be monitoring all the use and sale of illegal fireworks. A lot of questions I get, I'm sure the other commanders get is what's illegal? What fireworks are illegal? The only things that are permitted in Washington, D.C. are small handheld sparklers under 20 inches and cone fountains and those little things that just stay on the ground. Any fireworks that explode or launch as a projectile over 12 feet is not allowed in the District of Columbia. We need your help to keep the streets quiet and safe. If you observe any of these illegal fireworks, please report the activity to us. I sent some information out this morning to Oliver and to the community, but non-emergency reports, there's 301. They do have a great app. Hitting option 1 where you can report any type of firework activity. If there's any property damage or injury, obviously call 911. If there's any emergency, please call 911. And for year-round tips, there's also a fire marshal form that can be found online. Just Google the fire marshal hotline form for DC and you can give information or tips about fireworks. And I know I kind of went through that quickly. Is there any questions?
Yes, there are some questions.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks a lot for adding in the stuff as far as the 4th of July. The in 4D on the Ward 5 side, there's a number of parks that usually that's where people go to gather and put their fireworks out. So we've had a number of calls that came from that in recent years. Are you guys going to have anyone that's going to be patrolling those areas where those parks are?
Yes, I mean we're gonna obviously, as you can imagine, 40 is just gonna be, it's just gonna be one of those
Yeah,
nights. But we will
yeah,
have the targeted enforcement. We certainly understand about the parks in that area, and we'll make sure to be checking on that throughout the night.
yeah. Thank you for that, because I know that that's one of you guys' most active nights. As far as questions, we have a question from a past incident that occurred. So in July, there was a juvenile involved contact shooting that occurred on the 1100 block of Barnum
Yes.
Street.
Yep.
Can you give neighbors a brief summary of what occurred and just any arrests that were made?
Yeah, so it was more of a road rage type of incident. The juvenile, it was a juvenile suspect that actually shot at the car, and we recovered the weapon, and he was arrested. And then also the driver of that vehicle was arrested. So we're still working out the kinks about what exactly the relationship is, but based on our video and what we've seen so far, it looks just like a road rage type of incident. Juvenile shot. The vehicle ended up kind of colliding with the juvenile as well, but both parties have been arrested, and that's one of the ADWs that were closed.
Okay. There was also a homicide that occurred in January, and that was on 14th in Barnum.
1300 block of Varnum.
Yeah. Do
Yes.
you have any updates on that?
No, unfortunately, I don't. I know that one happened on January 21st, earlier in the year. If there's any information I can provide with that, any updates, I certainly will. Let the community know, let the council members office know as well.
Okay. Another question that we have from a neighbor is, oh, that's Commissioner Lucio. There was a rash of car break-ins on Webster Street
Hmm.
Northeast.
Yeah.
What's being done about that?
I mean, Webster Street for sure. I know exactly what they're talking about with that. We're just increasing the area, increasing presence as much as possible in the area, especially in the midnight, late evening hours and early morning hours. We're doing the best we can to just kind of cover down in there. Like I said again in the presentation, I know those numbers don't always give peace to everybody. We're showing a negative, but I understand that people are seeing the crime as well. And so, believe me, I do see it. I do know those areas when we do get those surges, we are definitely heightening the police presence in those areas.
We have another question from a neighbor as well. We may
Okay.
have to, talk about this a little bit more offline, but she said that there's 2 weeks ago, someone entered my running car while I was standing about 15 feet away with my kid and tried driving away. I forced them back out and re-entered the vehicle. They ran away. Is there a way to register this for the stats without having to work through onerous paperwork since I don't want to press charges? This happened at 10th and uh, on 10th Street near Turkey Thicket.
Absolutely. What I'll do, I'm going to drop my email in the chat. Just please email me. We'll get you the services, and it won't be a painful process for you, I promise. But we'll certainly have a discussion, and we'll take down all the information that you just mentioned.
Yep. And I believe that's it from as far as questions from for the 4D. So we appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, you do have your information that you've left for your contacts within the 4th district roster.
Oh, yep. So if you go to that slide right there, if anyone wants to take a picture of it, that's the contact. That's the PSA lieutenants and the sector captains. But
Awesome.
additionally, I'm putting my email in the chat as well.
Okay. And do you have the dates for the 4D CAC
You know
meeting
what?
so some neighbors can join?
I'll look in the chat. The last in-person one was a couple of weeks ago, last week, I'm sorry. But the dates, there's a little bit of a pause. So for the 4D CAC, I believe we're going to reconvene in August. I'll confirm it though, and I'll put it in the chat, but there's not going to be an in-person one until I know there's not going to be one in July.
Okay.
I will share I'm sorry.
Sorry to interrupt. On that point, I know it was the policy of then Commander Lavenhouse to drive neighbors to that CAC meeting versus joining ANC and Civic Association meetings. Is that going to be your your posture as well, or what should neighbors expect?
Well, I was actually going to mention that. I mean, we hold our sector meetings. I'll put the information out. I'll put it in the chat as well. I really encourage everyone to come to the sector meetings that we host at 4D as well. We hold them 3 times a month. You can come to anyone, even though each one is designed for each sector. We're happy to answer any questions. We have dedicated managers on those calls, 4D leadership to provide updates, crime updates, any questions you guys have. We're willing to answer there. So that's something that we're really trying to pitch to 40 CAC, and yes, our sector meetings.
Helpful. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Will you guys be able to join some of the ANC or civic association meetings? I know that, I mean, she did commit to doing some, but it wasn't like on a regular basis.
And then what I'll say, of course, and I'll give you an example. I went to 4E last night,
Okay.
just based on some recent things that happened.
Yeah.
Certainly, if we can, we will. But understandably, it's just difficult to go to all of them, and I'd never want to give that commitment. But we will be there. I think anyone that's interacted with me see how responsive I am and 4D is, and we'll continue to do that as well. So even if we can't make it to an ANC, let's say, you email me, you might not always get the answer you want, but you'll always get an answer from 4D.
Awesome.
Appreciate that.
Yes,
and ANC 5A is meeting tonight if you want to swing by.
Noted, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we'll transition to Commander Rooney for ANC. I'm not ANC, Lord. It's been a long day. Sorry, 5D. Commander, it's good to see you, and we're looking forward to your updates. I do know that we have a number of questions as well. It seems like more of our questions are focused on 5D, not surprising as you have the larger area. So just know that we have a number of questions coming your way.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Councilmember. I'm super glad to be here for having me. Wanted to give you some updates. I'm going to try not to be as redundant. I know Commander Hong and Connors both went over. We do have a problem throughout the city with assaults with dangerous weapons right now. And currently we've seen an uptick in residential burglaries. Our ADWs are a little bit higher than last year, plus 23%. I do want to tell you that a lot of our ADWs in the 5th district are domestic related and indoor scenes, along with some that are outside around shelters. Most of the ones are ADWs that are involving scissors and things like that, and bottles. Most of those are closed. 60% of the cases are already closed. So there are still a substantial number that are not, but those are what we're tracking right now. As Commander Hong said, motor vehicle thefts had been our focus, my focus when I got here. We were seeing in 5D alone about anywhere from 80 to 120 stolen autos per month. So we have maximized our resources here, and we were able to reduce that number. Right now, we're seeing a minus 63%. We're looking at over 300 less stolen autos than we had last year at this time. So it's significant. That has created a really good figure when it comes to our violent crime. So violent crime overall is down 25% in the 5th district, which is great. We still have some work to do. Our narcotic sales, like I said, burglaries, residential burglaries that I stated that we're seeing an uptick in over the last month or two. Most of those, if I could tell you, that they're crimes opportunity, unlocked doors, unlocked windows, or ajar windows that are open throughout the night. These guys that are walking by see opportunity, they take it, they hop it, they pull on the doors, and they go in. The one that I saw the other night was a bed that was pushed up against a door, and the door was partially ajar, and the guy kind of forced the door open, and that's a burglary. And then went in and took a PlayStation, a couple other items, and a little frustrating. But what we are doing is we are doing a lot of outreach to try and get ahead of those, making sure that you're locking your doors, making sure with motor vehicle related crimes, you're not keeping that car running. I say this over and over to Uber Eats drivers to ensure that the car is off. You take the keys out of the car and you go in and get the food and come back out. Over 50% of our motor vehicle thefts were hop-in related. and guy goes in to grab some food real quick, conveniently, comes back out, car's missing. So most of the time we do recover the cars, but however, the damage is already done. Someone steals your car, that's a big deal. So we are getting ahead of it, and we are putting out a lot of flyers. And thanks to the council member's office, appreciate you helping me get that message out as well. Other things, as we move into the summer, you see more loitering outside. I've gotten a lot of calls and complaints about that, along with narcotic sales. If you see narcotic sales, please call 911. Call 911 immediately. We try and get as many people as we can. Of course, all of our data and where our police resources go are all based off of our calls for service. And like you said, council member, our 5D is large, and we had the most calls for service out of any district. Last year, we had over 76,000 calls for service. That's just for MPD alone. So significant number there, 76,000 calls for service in MPD. That doesn't include fire and rescue. So some positive impacts that go through. Homicides are down in 5D, minus 67% year to date. Robberies was one of my concerns last year. We are down almost 50%. We had almost 80 less robberies than we did last year. Of course, motor vehicle thefts I just talked about, minus 63%. Theft from autos are also down citywide, but in 62%, and overall violent crime minus 25%. I do want to get the question and answers, but I do want to tell you some of the initiatives that we have this year. Sergeant Leak, of course, is leading the pack there. As you see, some of the community related items that we do. He's every other Thursday. We're doing Chess in the Park. That starts July 2nd. Then we have drug awareness. Once a month, Wednesdays and Thursdays. And food distribution, Starburst Plaza, that's once a week, Wednesdays and Thursdays. We've got one at Starburst Plaza, and then we're also assisting on Rhode Island Avenue. And then we are doing community cleanup once a week, 1500 Benning Road Northeast. I just got back from a walk there, Ivy City, 2700 block of New York Avenue, and also the Trinidad area. We're moving around as best we can. Also, I've got our community outreach on a rotation. As soon as violent crime hits, we're trying to get out there immediately the very next day. Sergeant Leak actually gets out there with his group and does, hands out flyers and things like that. But before I open it up to questions, I wanted to tell you, please write these numbers down. The anonymous tip line is 202-727-9099. And then, of course, you could always text tips too. 50411 is our text line. That is give 50 the 411. I like to say that. Give 50 the 411. So it's 50411. And then Crime Solvers tip line is 1-800-673-2777. Once again, those numbers are very important. If you have any information, please help us out. The only way we do this is together. So we really appreciate it. So let's go ahead and I know there's some specific questions. So if I could take some questions from those out there, I'd be happy to.
Before Oliver jumps into questions, can you speak to Dakota Crossing and Fort Lincoln? We've fielded a number of complaints and concerns from neighbors, namely around the Jameson and Fort Lincoln, as well as in the Dakota Crossing, anything from car break-ins. There's been reports of young people running up and down the street, ringing doorbells, stealing packages. A couple of years ago, as you know, there was a shooting in the Jameson building itself. Is this on your radar? What steps are being taken, and can you just shed light on what you might think might be driving some of the trends we're seeing in that Fort Lincoln area?
Sure. We hadn't seen that much in a while. And I know like Banneker Ridge, we saw two guys. In fact, I really appreciate the videos. A lot of you had sent me videos, two guys all gloved up, going literally door to door, door handle to door handle, in the parking lot areas of the residences, and trying to see if wood cars are open. And they were confronted by a person, a resident, and they ran off to their car, and you heard on video a loud pop. So we believe that he did pop off one round at the resident, or just to get away so that they would put some some distance between them. And we do have some good, from the video that we got from the neighbors and everyone, we do have a good lookout for them. And we have not made an arrest, but we do have some good ideas of where we're going with it. But I can't really too much. But keep the videos coming. I really appreciate it. We have increased patrols in those areas. Fort Lincoln, Dakota Crossing, where we hadn't seen that many theft from autos or motor vehicle related crime there. But as I said before, please make sure we are locking our doors. Don't give them anything easy. And also don't give them any eye candy. We are doing safety awareness out in those areas. When I say eye candy, don't leave a bag. Try and remember to remove all your items out of the car, out of the cabin compartment. That gives somebody real quick access to it. If you do have the anti-theft devices, the club, try and use those. That really curbs anybody from coming in there. But I hope that answers the question there, council member. And if anybody has anything specific, feel free to email me at sean.rooney@dc.gov, and that's SHAWN.ROONEY@dc.gov.
And one of the things I know neighbors are interested in is having a broader conversation with MPD and the HOA or HOAs in that area. That is something we can work with your team to set up. But I would say I know personally, I've gotten texts and calls, at least 3 instances. Even my chief of staff, who lives in the area, reported seeing different activity around cars and car break-ins. And so I just, it definitely doesn't seem to be an isolated event, and it seems to happen late at night in the early hours of the morning, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., or early in the morning. If that helps with just dispatch and focus on that area.
Absolutely. And that's one thing that we do. And I know Chief Cop and I heard Commander Connors and Hong talk about one thing that we've got more overtime officers around each district. We were enabled to get some overtime officers also for the assaults with dangerous weapons. We have 2 additional cars along with high visibility in those areas. Not to mention, council member, I know this is a sore subject with some, but the National Guard, we've been able to deploy them in certain areas for high visibility. So one thing that kind of pulls gives us some more resources in areas that we didn't have them before, especially for the summertime. So we are gearing up and we were able to go and do more patrols in the areas that we're seeing them. So keep the information coming, keep it flowing to me. If you do have any video of any of these perpetrators, please send them to me, send them to our detective's office. The only way we get these guys are by your help. And I know sometimes I know everybody's pretty reluctant to say, hey, I don't want to get them in trouble, but that's the only way we prevent it. I heard somebody on the call earlier say that there's, they don't want to like press charges, but at least do a report so we can give an idea of where it goes. We had 10 car break-ins about a year ago, and only 8 of them were reported, or I'm sorry, only 2 of them out of the 8 or out of the 10 were reported. So 8 didn't go reported, but we were able to get camera footage from one of the ones that didn't want to report. But the thing is, that's how we were able to catch the theft from auto suspect. Very difficult because they come in quick and they move pretty fast. So please make sure we're reporting it.
And for neighbors, we will work to organize something in the next few weeks. I'm thinking a community walk or outside talking to neighbors, focused on that Dakota Crossing area, as this has been a recurring issue. We do have some other issues, but I did just want to follow up. I'm channeling Miss Sharon Edwards from our Brentwood community. I know you had a chance to connect with her, Commander. And if there are any trends you've noticed in the Brentwood area in terms of drug activity and or dealing with some of the trends that were shared. And maybe we lost the commander. Okay. We will pivot. I'm assuming he's going to jump back on. In the meantime, we've heard about just different reports of drug activity and the like in Brentwood. And my question was focused on what has been the action steps of MPD, particularly in 5D since? Assistant Chief, Cop, I don't know if you want to weigh in there while we wait on the commander to jump back in.
I see he pops back up.
Yeah.
We're talking about drugs in Brentwood. Can we hear you?
Yep. Can you hear me, everybody?
We got it.
My computer just completely went kaput, of course, during this meeting. I'm so embarrassed. Okay, so what was the question?
Don't be. The question was just following up on the reports of neighbors in Brentwood about the drug activity. I know you were going to focus on that. Just have there been trends you've identified? What has been the follow-up? What should neighbors expect?
Yeah, with drug activity, yeah, what we've done is we have gotten with our violent crime suppression division. We've been doing some buy bust opportunities in those areas, which are more undercover related items. I don't want to get in too deep with that. Along with our crime suppression team, we've been making some good arrests in those areas. But a lot of times the tips and things like that are coming in, those are the real meat and potatoes that we utilize to produce results. For instance, if you have a specific house that is, it's the drug house, please send it to me. It takes a little bit of massaging to do, and I'll just give you, without giving you too much information, is that a lot of times we're able to utilize undercover resources to get into those houses, but it takes a little bit more time. It takes a little bit more of an operational style. That's why we get our violent crime suppression division and our crime suppression teams involved in those. They take a little bit of longer time, but the upside is that when they do come down, they usually come down pretty hard. So we usually execute search warrants and are able to make a numerous amount of lockups. Just this last week, we had a long-term investigation. This is, not saying that we can't do a shorter-term investigation on these, but we were able to utilize our violent crime suppression division in different areas of the city. We had over 20 simultaneous search warrants and arrested numerous people, and they were all federal charges, meaning they got either 5-year minimums, some maximum of like over 40 years. So that is, they'll do almost 100% of that time. So it's something that we do, but it takes a lot more time to do. So once we have a residence that we know that we can fixate on and that is actually committing legal acts, that's something that we want to take a little bit more time on. But I know at times it can be a nuisance. If we're talking about drug activity on the street, please feel free to give us lookouts, and we'll be able to stop people if you dial 911 on those as well. So,
okay,
I don't know if that helps.
I'm sorry, I just am struck by 40 years. That seems like a pretty hefty sentence. Is that for drug activity?
No, that's not the norm. With federal charges, depending on most of those cases that I spoke about, where it's a conspiracy case that took a long time. So that was a massaging of lots of crime. The guys at the top that were getting like multiple sentencing, where they're going to get like a ton of time, have violent crime under their belt, not just drug related. So the conspiracy was all wrapped up, and those start at 5-year minimums. So the other are a lot higher.
All right, Oliver, feel free to go ahead with the questions, but I wanted to at least touch base on those two community concerns.
Yep. So, as you know, the 5th district is comprised of a number of different business hubs, like Ivy City, Rhode Island Avenue, which we had a constituent just ask a question regarding that, as well as Monroe Street Market and Heckinger Mall area, as they all face unique safety challenges. And those safety challenges are, drug use, violence, and robberies in those business corridors. Is there any dedicated foot patrol or bike patrol scheduled for these commercial corridors during the summer,
Yes.
evening hours, or what, usually when these issues occur?
Yes. Right now we have Business Beat, that is their bike patrol along with foot patrol. They go from the mountain bike trail all the way up to Heckinger Mall area, Starburst Plaza area, as you referenced. I'm sorry, Oliver, I didn't catch question in Ivy City? Was that for narcotics, or was that questions related or surrounding something specific?
So that'll be just mental health and drug related crimes in the Ivy City area.
Yeah. So just over the last couple of weeks, we've done a couple walks there within the last 30 days. We've done,
Yep.
We had done the large one. We are seeing a lot more activity, especially at night, with regards to, of course, the nightlife area. I know we have another club opening up. Those that don't know, Club Love will be coming back. I think they're going to call it Control, I believe. And that should be opening up next month. So we are gearing up for that. So our rotation and our deployment changes from evenings to midnights. So we do see an uptick, in calls for service during those times. So we dedicate resources in nightlife areas. We do have our crime camera up there near Throw Social, but we have been in touch with our Department of Health, DBH, and we are approaching the alley, where Catholic Charities are. The shelter is there. I know that has been a hub for some drug transactions and some violent crime there. Most of the time, it's involving the same residents of the shelter, and a lot of times when we get there, it is the perception of something is going on, and really it's something, a minor fight or something like that, or a drug transaction, and then we have a lot of people, a lot of pedestrians and the like there looking on. So one thing is in Ivy City, we'll continue to do the walks. We continue to meet with our business corridor during the early morning from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We do have a business beat there. And then also in the evening, we've hired a few more people to do, foot patrol and the mountain bikes, like I had said. And they basically go door to door to the businesses and make sure the motor vehicle related crime is down and that violent crime is reduced. Along with our overtime officers over there, the ADW car, the recent uptick. We've got two units that just patrol that area nonstop. Also, some of the different areas that are up and coming across from Ivy City Smokehouse. I know they have started working on the rec center there. So yep. So I haven't received a lot of complaints just right there from Kendall down Fenwick, and Oakey. I haven't seen a lot of the motor vehicle related crimes there this year, and mainly because there's a lot more people coming in and out and, construction and things like that. And I don't know how long that's going to take, but I'm sure it's going to take a little while to revamp that whole area. And then it's supposed to be a nice park there. So I know that Echo Stage, when they came in for the new club that's there, they wanted to utilize that parking lot, and we're going to maintain that whole entire area over there for security. Now, Echo Stage does the same thing over around their area, and they maintain the security for all the cars, which would be helpful to the police department. But patrols are increased over there, and then, of course, Heckage Mall area and the like. Same thing. We've increased our patrols there. We do have a new Thrive captain there, Gavin Nelson. We literally just finished up right before this a walk in that area with all of our partners. So from the fire department on up, and we do a lot of outreach there, especially with the amount of addiction that we have and we see around in and around the Pinnacles, Heckage Mall, Starburst Plaza area. So a lot of outreach.
And speaking of that area, the Carver Langston area, there was a shooting that happened on the 1700 block of Benning Road where a child may have been grazed. Do you have any updates on that and whether an arrest was made?
Yes. So I was a little upset that it came out as a child shooting, like a 3-year-old struck. I was on the scene of that, Oliver, and we do have an update for you. That case is closed. So what ended up happening? 2 neighbors got into a dispute. I guess a neighbor's relative or boyfriend came up and shot through the door, shot in an upward angle. At some point during the altercation, the small child was injured. with real minor injuries. There is no factual information that says that he was shot or grazed or anything like that. But I saw he was definitely injured as a result, no matter what. So I'm not trying to say no matter what. Scary for the whole family, scary for us. I was here all night for that, just to make sure that things were going smoothly. But we did make an arrest in that case. So
Great. I think there was another question that we had regarding 19th Street and 19th and Benning Road. The neighbor asked, what's happening at the corner of 19th Street Northeast and Benning Road, the drug traffic area? There's constant hanging out behind the corner abandoned area. Don't understand why there isn't any enforcement or removal there.
okay, right there, 19th to Benning, all up and down Benning Road. We make arrests, a lot of arrests there. There has been at 20th and Benning, we had, if that's what they're referring to, the same individuals that are at 19th and Benning also frequent that market there at 20th and Benning. We had 3 shootings back to back to include a homicide there. That was all related. And we closed out all 3 cases. That means that the perpetrators in that case were arrested. We did realize that a lot of that is coming from like 19th to Benning, like behind the liquor store. I think they congregate there. A lot of times we'll make arrests. However, drug related, gun related, we do make a lot of stops and arrests at that location. However, no loitering law. It's tough to move them along unless the businesses are on board with us too. So sometimes they're in the alley, which we can move them along, and sometimes they're on the property, which if we have the businesses there, we can definitely move them along. I know it's an eyesore, something that we try not to let get out of hand as far as the large gatherings go. We do have a large gathering vehicle, which means they basically go around to see if there's anybody with more than 5 people. Because 5 people turns into 10 people, 10 people turn into 100 people, and we want to get that before it turns violent or before it gets a little volatile. So it's something that we're going to do it. So please call that in, regardless whether you think it's helping. It does help. So please call those in because we can't be everywhere all the time, and those congregations turn into large parties, which we don't want to happen because that could turn volatile and violent, and then it gets out of control. So please call the police on those.
And I do know that is one of the areas where you guys will consider a hot spot. There's also like cameras that are on 19th. Exactly. But yeah, thanks for that information. Also,
and Oliver,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. That area right there on 19th Street, that's all a Thrive zone. That's our big hot spot. From 15th to 21st, from like the top of Starburst Plaza and Heckinger Mall all the way down to Gales, we consider that a hot spot. So we're always frequented. We got extra overtime officers. We've got extra patrols in and around those areas.
Yeah. Speaking of that, another area which is a hot spot is Trinidad. We did get some constituents that had reached out regarding some of the abandoned buildings on the 1700 block of Montello, and they were asking for a little bit of a special attention there. I think that they tried to call MPD on a number of occasions, but if we can just have some special attention in that area concerning those abandoned buildings, I'll be able to send you those exact addresses to look out for.
If you send me the exact locations on Montello, we have an overtime officer that's stationed pretty much there from Kovacs and on the corner. We haven't seen the violence like last year at all in Trinidad. Knock on wood, we're doing really well over there. But we still increase our presence during the spring and summertime to make sure large gatherings don't occur. But if Department of Buildings, if you give me the vacant number or the addresses of those, I'll be on top of those. I'll immediately send those over to my partners over at DOB.
Yep. So we've already gotten our partners on that as far as like DOB, but I'll make sure that you get all those. And as a matter of fact, we do have the exact addresses. It's 1736 1738, and 1718 Montello. And we'll talk more about that on offline as well as we work on that.
Sure.
And Commander, we also got a note about the going back to Fort Lincoln, the parking lot across from Dakota Crossing near the Tesla stations. There was a note that there is a disturbance there every night. I'm not sure what is meant by disturbance, but just maybe something also to look into. And for neighbors, we did respond. I responded asking for your contact for Fort Lincoln in particular. As we organize the community walk in that area, we'll be sure to share details with you directly. We'll also inform folks in our newsletter. But if interested in being in touch, please share your contact. Awesome.
Yep. Hey, council member, I will keep that in mind. So right around the Tesla areas, because I'll let the footbeat officers know. You said was there a time frame for the
They did.
Tesla?
It seems like at night there's a disturbance in that parking lot every night, is what they're saying. We're also again hearing and seeing evidence that there are routine break-ins at night. Which is right down the street from that parking lot in the Dakota Crossing area. So it could be linked and worth looking into.
Oh, absolutely. No, I appreciate that. I would definitely look into that. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Commander, thank you. I would say on a good note, we often highlight what's wrong and what needs fixing. There have been a number of resident emails and notes that we've received about improved attention, improved public safety in various areas, including in Trinidad, for instance. Neighbors near Montello and Neil shared, things are improving. There's still work to do, but they're improving. And the list goes on. So I just want to thank you and your team members for your constant work.
No, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'll definitely let our team know. It is it's tireless and it's tedious, but it's definitely worth it. So thank you for that.
One last question, Commander, before you jump. Can you just share where we are in the force and or on 5D? And if the other commanders are here in terms of just numbers. I know attrition has been an issue for the force. The council, we've been doing a lot trying to attract and retain officers. Can you contextualize that for residents about where we are and where you're hoping we can be soon?
Sure. I don't know if the chief wanted to speak about it across the board, but I don't know if it's still on. But if not, I could speak to it. Okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, council member, we've been, pretty public about putting out there that, we're kind of shorter than we would like to be, obviously. Still looking for more help, kind of beefing up our recruiting efforts. The department as it stands right now is just a little over 3,100. That's our sworn members that are out there, and that's public knowledge. So obviously, we would like to have more than that. Police officers in Washington, D.C. Do a lot of things that police officers across the country don't do. We have a lot of special events here. We have a lot of foreign dignitaries. We have a lot of things that, we need a lot of people to handle. And we want to make sure that not only are the events that happen in our city covered and are safe, at the same time, we need to provide and continue to provide safety and security for the residents who live here. And when they call 911, our first priority is that when somebody calls 911, we need to go. So obviously, we would like to have more folks. I don't think we're in a dire strait by any means, but we could certainly use some extra help. We have increased our recruiting efforts. We've got a solid recruiting team trying to throw around some new ideas about what kind of folks we want to recruit, where we want to recruit from, how do we remain competitive with other agencies around us and across the country. So I think we're in a good spot. Obviously, we appreciate your support and the council's support in getting those recruiting efforts and some of the bonuses and things to attract people to Washington, D.C. out there. So that's kind of where the department stands right now.
Awesome.
Hope that answers the question.
No, it definitely does. I think it's just important to contextualize that for neighbors.
Yeah.
I know sometimes the headlines can read that MPD is getting X number of millions of dollars for overtime. And one of the reasons for that significant amount of overtime is because of the need for officer carryovers from one
Yeah.
shift to another. And I think you raised a great point that MPD officers are not just walking neighborhoods and walking the beat. They're also manning motorcades and any number of protest events and what have you. And so I just think that's important for us to keep in mind as we move forward.
Yeah, I appreciate you and that opportunity to get that out there.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you, Commander Rooney, Commander Hong, Commander Connors, as well as Assistant Chief Kopp. Neighbors, feel free to continue to send your questions while we have our leadership here. We're happy to endeavor to get answers to you. There were, I think, one or two questions for me, and I will attempt to answer them. One was about traffic cameras or traffic signals along major corridors in Ward 5, including New York Avenues, and others. And I'm not sure if it's the signal or the cameras that this question is alluding to. So if you want to specify whoever asked this question, feel free. But the gist of it is everything DDOT does is data driven. And so where you see a traffic camera, DDOT would say they have evidence and data to say there's traffic violence that warrants the traffic camera. Now, I know people have strong feelings about cameras. Some would say they're predatory. Some would question why are there so many cameras in wards 5, 7, and 8, for instance. And while I will leave that up to DDOT to justify, the data suggests that the roadways in wards 5, 7, and 8 are the most dangerous. To put that differently, we see the most reckless driving, the most speeding in wards 5, 7, and 8. In Ward 5, for instance, the reason I would argue that happens is because many of our roadways are designed as highways, New York Avenue, North Capitol, Bladensburg, Rhode Island, and the list goes on, which allows people to zoom in and out, many of them from Maryland and Virginia. In terms of the traffic signals, if that's what you're talking about in terms of green light, red light, yellow light, DDOT also is using data, but that is at times shifted based on road redesign or development projects. So think of North Capitol, for instance, when the Reservoir District is being developed, you may notice that there are new lights there because they have to, one, make plans for and adjust the roadways for oncoming traffic. The same will be true for the soon-to-be Providence development in that area. And so they are using numbers, trying to account for the flow of traffic to make sure people can navigate our streets safely. I hope I answered this question, but feel free to ask it again if I did not. And then there was another question around looking at Baltimore's approach towards focused on deterrence and reducing gun violence. I think it is worth noting Baltimore has seen historic declines in violent crime. I think I saw a note this past week that it's a 50-year low, which is quite notable, as Baltimore has often been heralded as one of the most dangerous cities in the country. And while I am not up to speed on this report that the neighbors shared, I think it's safe to say there is a multifaceted approach that the leadership in Baltimore is leveraging, similar to some of the efforts that we're leading here in DC. But I'm hoping that we can take a page from Baltimore to see some of the positive trajectories that they're seeing. A couple of other things I would just speak to. As you may know, the council yesterday voted on the DC budget, and there are many things to note. A few public safety aspects I will highlight. The council again fully funded our MPD and provided robust resources for overtime. We talked about why that overtime is necessary, but I also think it's important for us to stress that the council is working alongside MPD to attract and retain more officers. We are all in this together because the more officers we have, and I know some people get anxious or antsy about that idea of more officers, but the more officers we have, that means the quicker they can respond when there's a violent incident in your community, or the more likely they are to follow up on what some would say are more nuisance issues. And I know for a lot of neighbors, the more likely they are to follow up on traffic safety issues. Many neighbors have complained about traffic safety kind of falling to the wayside. And I'm not speaking for MPD, but I would suspect that is in large part because they are having to prioritize. Do you go to the homicide? Do you go to the robbery? Or do you go to the car that just blew the stop sign? All of those are very important. But with limited resources and capacity, they have to now pick and choose. So I just want to level set that MPD was well resourced in this budget. We also restored cuts to other notable public safety agency, includes the ONE's office, including our credible messengers at DRS. These are individuals, our violence interruption teams that are working on the front end to try to prevent violence before it occurs. And that is part of the story of Baltimore. And that's also part of the work that we're here in DC doing. And so I'm proud of the work that we were able to do there. On the credible messenger front, I would just note we were able to partially restore the $4.5 million cut that we originally saw. But it is better than where we were. Last thing I would just say on the fire department, there are a number of enhancements that were made there, both in terms of equipment and investments in the fire department itself, but also in terms of an upcoming contract. And while we are endeavoring to take care of all of our government employees, our firefighters deserve a raise. And based on our investments in the budget, we will be able to provide them that. I did want to touch base, and I caution to reopen this topic, but I know it's been a while since we've had this call to talk about the curfew as a public safety matter and just where we are with that. So just to level set, the council passed permanent legislation to enable the MPD chief to designate certain areas as curfew zones, which means at 8 p.m. on certain days, the chief will be able to say this geographic area, young people in a group of 8 or more, I believe, are not able to go there. That is in response to some of the trends that the district has been seeing, this phenomenon of teen takeovers, where sometimes dozens, sometimes hundreds of young people descend on certain areas of the city. The emergency version of that legislation did not pass. And what the mayor has done via her acts or mayoral orders has been to establish on an emergency basis up to 14 days at a time that curfew. So I share that just because there may have been some confusion around some people saying it passed or it didn't pass, and yet you hear the announcements of curfews happening. The headline is right now, because of the mayor's order, the MPD chief has the authority to designate these curfew zones. And in about another month or so after the congressional review, the permanent bill will permanently authorize the MPD chief to be able to do so. Not getting into the politics of it, I did not support it, not because I don't think we need to address these teen takeovers, but because I was hoping and am part of a growing call for us to have a comprehensive approach to what we're doing about young people in the district. I'm thrilled to say through the acts of the council, we were able to advance some of the strategies that I think long-term will address some of the trends we're seeing with young people, like expanding rec hours at DPR facilities across the district, like investing in grants to provide more recreational and third spaces for our young people, whether that be through sponsored events from bids or other businesses, or even some of the work that we were able to do via my committee, making sure that we have family success centers across the city to provide wraparound resources and supports to family. All of it matters. But I did just want to address that because I know that was a hot button topic. And then I would just end with this. We know over the summer, there usually tends to be an uptick in violence across the district. That is a trend across the country in major urban cities. We will endeavor this summer, like we have done in years past, to be as proactive as possible so that we are working hand in hand with our MPD partners as well as our other community partners. We really appreciate you reaching out to flag when incidents happen or to ask for questions. As I mentioned, we are scheduling an event in Fort Lincoln. We are also, this is news for you, Commander, so you're going to hear about this. We're scheduling an event in Ivy City as well, where we are wanting to be responsive to some of the concerns of neighbors in the Heck building and that surrounding area about public safety concerns. And I share that to say we will be doing these type of pop-up events in very targeted ways over the summer to make sure that we can just squash anything that may be brewing long term. I've been talking a long time. I want to thank our MPD partners. Truly, you all are partners. And the progress that we have made as a district is in large part because of your efforts. And if I can dare to say, I know there has been a lot of politicizing public safety in the district, but it is not lost on us the hard work that our partners at MPD and across the government are putting in to actually make sure neighbors are safe. On the screen here, you'll see our contact for neighbors. Please reach out to us, email us, call us. Sign up for our newsletter. That is where we advertise this call. We share public safety updates on a weekly basis, and we are happy to be at your service. With that, I want to thank Oliver stepping in and helping to facilitate, as well as the rest of my team that brings us this call every month. And I'm going to close this iteration of the Ward 5 Public Safety Call. And again, thanks to everybody joining.